Are you rich?
Because I had to use my phone because
Media.
the DMU, the media thingo, the media unit wouldn't let me borrow their professional camera. But
That's rough.
hey, people have filmed movies with an iPhone 17, so
I had to
Yeah.
buy one to be marketing director as well.
really?
Yeah,
What society?
Singapore Society.
Ah.
Yeah. People kept saying, you're using an Android, aren't you? I was like, how did you know the pictures?
Yeah, all good. So just for the purposes of this interview, could you just like please your voice, like let it like turn it up a bit so
Oh, yeah.
like the mic would catch it.
Can I refer to notes? No, right.
If you have your notes, yeah, why not?
Oh, really?
Oh well, would I let others? Not really. Sorry.
Shucks. That's alright.
Yeah.
I can't. Wait, just give me a second to peruse my policies.
Yeah, just let me know when you want me to start
How many questions will it be?
the interview.
Yeah.
It'd be about like almost the same.
25 questions?
Yeah.
Alright.
And you have an hour max at least. I think Serena's interview lasted 44 minutes.
I think Anika's lasted an hour.
Wait, what? Sorry?
Anika Huang?
I don't think Annika went for an hour.
She did one. I watched it. I watched it
Oh,
just
was
now.
it?
It was an
Yeah.
hour, but then like someone had like a 15-minute one.
Who was it?
Michelle, I believe.
Oh.
But they both won, so like I guess it doesn't matter how long you speak. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, look, it wasn't like the interviews last year weren't really promoted that much.
Yeah, it's like 100 views.
Yeah. So okay, let's get started.
Yep.
Yeah. So welcome to the interview. Just before we get started, can you please introduce yourself, your name, degree, and what year?
Let's pick a camera or you?
Just to me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Let me start. Yeah. So just before we get started, can you please introduce yourself, name, degree, and year?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Lei Hong Ming. I'm a first year in USU in the second semester, doing a degree in Bachelor of Commerce and Law, majoring in Finance.
Yeah. So you're in your first year.
Yeah, first year.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your favorite USU venue on campus?
Ooh, my favorite USU venue on campus. It might have to be the ISL and Wentworth building because there's always like some society holding some kind of event there. So like you can always just kind of hop in and see what they're doing.
Yeah. Why are you running for board?
Why am I running for board? Well, I'm running so that I can have a change. I want to implement some changes in the USU for the better of all my fellow students. I believe that I have some good ideas that I would want to implement, and I believe that these ideas will help all students.
Yeah. Can you please tell me your top 3 policies?
My top 3 policies, definitely one that I'm very vested in, right? As a big bag myself, I love eating food, and as we all know, food with the cost of living is really expensive. So a big fan of the $5 laneway meals, which were like introduced last year. I think they're a very good initiative, but I do see there's like some sort of improvements that could be made to it, because right now it only runs between the hours of 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that limits it to lunch. What I'm proposing is that I'm proposing 3 changes to it. The first of which would be to consider extending the operating hours from including the dinner time as well, so 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So maybe a pilot program to see the sort of receptiveness of students, because there's not a lot of cheap dinner options around campus, if you notice, and I think a $5 dinner option would definitely appeal to the greatest student audience. Another change I would plan to implement for the laneway policy per se would be to consider either increasing staffing, because the wait times are pretty long, either that or consider opening a second outlet on campus that will help spread out demand and improve accessibility, because let's say students at Susan Wakil, right? They're not going to walk all the way to laneway just to get a $5 lunch and walk all the way back. So maybe one in a different location of the campus, even though I know space is a premium, so we might have to look into which areas would be sort of open for that. And lastly, this is not a huge change per se, but I'll look towards like digitalizing the menu, because right now the menu, the only way to find out what's being served is to go there and look at the chalkboard written on there. So like without that, you don't know what they're serving.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a game of luck, a game of cards. Like what if you don't like the food that's there? You already walked all the way there, you wasted your time and effort. So it'd be nice if there's sort of like a digital menu you can check on your phone, you can check anywhere you want to be, and you kind of know what you're getting before you go there. And this can also tie into like maybe digitalizing the queue management. So perhaps the students can prepay their meals and come there and collect it, which will help reduce the wait times rather than people standing in long snaking lines for like 30 minutes just to get lunch.
Yeah. So in terms of your policies, I guess I was just wondering, how did you come up with those policies that you just mentioned? Was that your idea? Did you consult anyone before coming up with it? Who did you talk to before deciding this was a priority of yours?
Honestly, I mean, cost of living, right? Okay, I'm a first year, I'll be honest. I've only been in university for 1 year. I've only been in Australia for 1 year, right? So the first thing I noticed when moving here is everything's quite expensive. I'm sure everyone, especially in Sydney, prices are crazy. So like, I know for a fact, just from my own experiences, my own lived experiences, and my fellow friends who are also students telling me, Sydney is expensive, so cost of living is something that's on everyone's mind. And the most direct sort of avenue for that, where you see that play a day-to-day life, is eating, because everyone eats every day. So when I thought about that, I thought about what USU policy specifically has helped me the most in that aspect, one of which would be Food Hub, but another was also the $5 laneway meal. So that's what, and interacting with laneway meals every week, because I get the food basically every week, is something that I interact with daily. So I had a lot of thoughts coming up, like this could be improved in this manner.
Yeah, so moving on from policies, can you please describe your politics to me without using the words right wing, left wing, progressive, or independent?
That's a new question. I'll describe my policies. I would say
your politics.
Sorry, my politics, my bad. I would say that I'm more of a realist. I'm a pragmatist. I believe that we should look at policies. I can use the word policies, right? Yeah. We should look at policies as objectively as possible, per se. So we should try and remove politics out of like the more on the ground policy. So let's say cost of living, right? There's not a left. I can't use that word. Can I use left wing and right wing for describing a policy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, to the average student in university, they are quite apolitical, I would say. And what affects them is not really the political side of life, but rather more like on the ground, what the average person experiences. So again, cost of living, student life, like what clubs are running, what societies are running, what events. So I would say that, can we scrap the question and re-record that?
You can start again if you want. Yeah.
Sorry, I think I got lost on
I
went on a tangent a bit.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
How do you describe my politics without progressive left wing, right wing, or
Independent. Like your politics.
My politics as a person?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I'm a centrist. That's allowed to use, right?
You can use that word.
But that's against the spirit of the question, though.
Just try to describe like what you believe in as best as you could.
Without using those words. I guess, again, I mean, I'm a pragmatist and realist. Whatever policies work, they work. Whatever policies don't work, they don't work. I don't really see like a political spectrum on policies. I see whether they work objectively and whether they help the people they intend to help. And yeah, I just take policies as they are. I value them for what they can accomplish, rather than what political motivations they might have.
Yeah. So I guess on that point that you're making, do you think, I guess, let's say policies are not political at all?
I'm not saying policies are not political per se. I'm saying that oftentimes when we see in politics, right? Like let's say there's a left-wing and right-wing party, right? If a left-wing party proposes a policy A, even though it is in the policy, let's say, is objectively beneficial to everyone, sometimes the right-wing party will just disagree for the sake of the fact it's coming from another political party without weighing the merits and the cons of the policy in of itself. So what I'm saying is that I'm more focused on the policy, the merits and the cons it brings, right, and trying to see whether it benefits everyone, whether it accomplishes the goals.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so moving on, are you a member of any political party?
I am not a member of any political party as an international student.
Are you an independent?
Yes, I'm an
Yeah,
independent.
so you're not part of any factions?
I'm not part of any factions.
Yeah, so why are you running as an independent?
I mean, I'm running as an independent because I haven't had much experience in the, let's per se, political activism side of the university. I haven't really delved much depth into the local political scene. So that's why I'm not running for any per se political party or faction. Also, I feel like if you run for a faction, you might not agree 100% with all your policies. And as an independent, I'm afforded a bit more liberty in what I want to pursue.
Yeah. And then lastly, on I guess that point, do you believe that the USU should be more political or less political?
I think a better way to phrase that would be rather, can the USU achieve its objectives, right? Can it achieve its objectives with being political or not political? And I think it's not mutually exclusive. The USU already has, USID already has the SRC for more of the political activism side for the students, right? The SRC is responsible to sort of advocate political advocacy, while the USU is more focused on student life, student experience, and like benefiting the overall student experience in university. So it can take stances on certain things, but all in all, you should not forget that its main goal and its main objective is to overall benefit the general student populace at USID.
Yeah, and you already kind of touched on this just now, but what do you think is the difference between the SRC and the USU?
As I previously mentioned, right, the USU, its main goal is to improve student life, right? It's how the student experience university, they want to maximize that. Whereas the SRC, it's there to represent the political voices of the students, is to give the students a voice in sort of like, per se, government or like legislature. So they are the voice of the students, where USU is sort of the, I would say, the nurturer of students in terms of like how they experience school.
Yeah. Speaking of BDS, it has been a sustained topic at the recent USU board meetings for the past few months.
Yep.
The current board has declined to adopt BDS. If elected, would you support the USU integrating it?
I mean, as a candidate, I don't have perfect information, because when you talk about BDS, you have to weigh the pros and cons. I think for the board side, they are concerned about funding, and I don't have full access to their funding and per se what contracts or what agreements they have made with the companies and what sort of implications it will have if you were to adopt the BDS. So I cannot comment fully on whether or not I support it. But yeah, I cannot comment, essentially.
Yeah, all good. So at one of the meetings held, I believe last month, or the one, it's May now, so yeah, the one last month, an SRC councillor asked whether Coca-Cola's Welcome Fest activation was a paid sponsorship. One of the executive directors, Jane Cole, confirmed it was, and said that USU's commercial arrangements aren't disclosed. So my question would be, should the USU sponsorship arrangements be publicly disclosed to members?
Again, this goes back to the question of, as a candidate, I don't have perfect information on any agreements USU may or may not have made with any sort of companies. So I cannot definitively comment. But what I can say is that I do see merits in perhaps creating a sort of sponsorship tab on the USU page, so that students are aware of what USU is being sponsored by, and also it gives good visibility for the brand, so it'll be beneficial for them as well.
So you do agree that we should the USU should disclose its sponsorships to the public?
Disclose wouldn't be the exact terminology I use. I would more say entertain the thought that it's not a bad idea. But again, I don't have perfect information. So given what I know at the time, I can say that I would be open to the idea.
Yeah. And let's say, given Coca-Cola is named in BDS campaigns, would you have signed off on that sponsorship as a board director? Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, if I was a board director.
Yeah. So given that, Coca-Cola is on the BDS list,
Yep.
would you have signed off on that sponsorship?
Given the information I have now, no comment.
Yeah, all good. So I guess leading in with like scenario questions, let's say, you were elected on the board, and how comfortable would you be publicly disagreeing with a fellow board director or one of the executives on the board? Can you walk me through how you would handle a moment where you think someone is wrong on a public-facing issue?
How will I handle if I disagree with someone in a public-facing issue? I believe that disagreeing with someone in public, especially when it's a board of directors that you all sit on, it shows disunity, and you kind of want to present us like sort of face of unity, a face of teamwork to the general public. So I believe these kind of matters can be dealt before escalating to the public view, to public debate per se. So it would be better if these sort of things could be discussed prior, and then of course when it's brought up to the public, mediated talks can be held. You can negotiate with your other director, and always remember keep things civil, because in all, you all have the same objective of improving student experience at university.
Yeah. Can you name one thing that you are critical of how the USU currently operates?
I don't think I'm critical of how USU operates. So like the operational side, or more like just USU in general, like events. I think particularly for USU sort of job opportunities, there could be a bit more visibility. I say a lot of opportunities offered by USU are a bit hidden, and sort of students have to go out of their way, because oftentimes I feel that students firstly are not even aware of these sort of opportunities, and even if they are aware, they're not certain of how to proceed to like follow up on these opportunities and services offered by USU.
Yeah, and I guess the opposite of that would be something that the USU does that you are very much, I guess, in agreement with, and can you tell me what would that be?
Again, as I mentioned earlier, I love their $5 Lame meals. I love the food hub. I think it's a very good idea. I think it directly addresses the issue of cost of living, which is on everyone's main priority. It's a shared issue among all students. It affects everyone, regardless if you're a student that studies math, a student that studies law, first year, fifth year. Cost of living is an issue on everyone. So these immediate policies have immediate effect to the students. Their wallets are slightly less light because of these policies, rather than long-lasting policies where like you preach something that happens 5 years on. That might have immediate impact on the students now. So this sort of immediate relief is definitely a good work by USU.
I guess cycling back on the stuff that we discussed in the quiz, but have you read the 2025-2028 strategic plan, or skimmed through it?
I skimmed through it, but I can't remember off the top of my head now.
That is fine. So can you remember something within it that you agree and disagree with?
Something I agree with. I don't have anything I disagree with per se, but what I agree with is I think they're pushing towards a more digital USU, right? A move away from like all these like sort of physical, sort of like be it paperwork, be it advertisement. So I think the push towards digitalizing is very good. It reduces administrative burden. It reduces cost, definitely, because there's less physical media, physical things to be printed. I think that's a good initiative by USU.
Yeah. And going back to like, I guess, a scenario question again. Let's say a group of students rocks up to a board meeting and demands that you take a position that you disagree with. They're quite persistent with it. how would you handle that situation?
I think for an issue like that, it's always good to hear out the students first and foremost, and then redirect them to the proper sort of procedures and ways they can appeal. All right, so that first and foremost, I mean, at the end of the day, the students are who you're supposed to listen to. Right? You had to represent the students, so it wouldn't be fair to just shut them off, but rather you could redirect them to proper avenues and channels where they can sort of voice out their opinions, and they can always email you, right? And you can always respond to the emails in a more civilized manner rather than go into a board meeting and start shouting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what's one issue in the university that you really care deeply about?
One issue in university I care deeply about. Again, one issue. I think again it'll be back to cost of living, but let's move off the say food aspect of it. As an international student, right? One thing that I hold dearly, which I think has been pushed by the USU and SRC for quite a while, is the Opal concession cards, right? Because right now Opal concession cards are only available to firstly domestic students who fit a certain criteria, whereas for international students they're completely locked out of it, which isn't really fair, I would say, because as we all know, New South Wales, the transport prices are really high, like one of the highest in the nation, if I recall. I had to pay $3 just for like a 20-minute ride down and up, and I think that's something that's should be expanded upon. I believe the SRC held a signature. There was they held the nominated signature. So basically, they collected signatures, 20,000 signatures by 20th November last year. And I believe the Minister of Transport, John, he responded in December where he was saying, we've taken into account all the signatories from Supra, from SRC, from basically all over New South Wales to push for concessions. And he's recognized that, and he's working towards giving international students concession cards, or in talks about it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with any of the portfolios in the board?
Sorry.
So like.
Which portfolios?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm particularly interested in the governance portfolio, the clubs and societies portfolio, and the international students portfolio, because those three are matters that relate deeply to me. I mean, as a club executive, I've always wanted to streamline the CNS procedures. I feel there's a lot of administrative burden. I feel like response rates could be better. I feel it's very confusing, especially for first-time executives to manage a society. And for the international student side, I feel like international students account for 51% of students that use it, right? But that's not properly represented in per se the board of directors, where only I think about 4 of the directors, including the president, is 2 directors plus the president and honorary secretary. Those are the only internationals we have on hand, which is not the 51% we see at USIT, right? So I think there could be a better representation and better push from inside about the voices for international students.
Yeah. And again, speaking on like the multiple portfolios in the board, over the past board meetings, issues have arisen regarding the autonomous spaces in Manning, so ethnocultural, the disability space, and the queer space as well. So let's say if you take on a portfolio that includes an autonomous space, what's your concrete commitment to the students who use it?
Are you asking me to state my stance right now?
I'm asking whether how would you, let's say, hold yourself accountable to the students who are using those spaces, and particularly like over the past few months have experienced issues reaching out to the portfolio holders.
I feel as portfolio holders, when you take on a portfolio, you kind of accept a certain level of responsibility and sort of level of accountability. You sort of, these like students, let's say the autonomous spaces students, the students that use them, if you take on an autonomous portfolio, they are in a sense your boss. You are sort of liable for what they feel. So I think it's not very fair if you start ghosting them. I think first and foremost, clear communication, that's like the main thing a director should always have. They should always be willing to respond and receive feedback from their students. So I think if you start ghosting them, that's on you. That's a failure as your part as a director.
Yeah. So I guess on the question of accountability, how would you define what accountability is, especially in the context of a board director?
I think accountability is that you may not always make the most popular decision, but you, even if you make something that's unpopular, you make a mistake, you own up to it. I feel that, I mean, we're all adults here, right? We should be able to own up to our mistakes, and you should be accountable for your actions. If you do something, even if it's wrong, even if you make a mistake, you should be able, again, to own up to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on from that. So you are in your first year, technically. What inspired you to run for board now, rather than getting more campus experience first?
In a sense, I've actually experienced the campus for 5 years because my brother's also a fifth year student at USU. So he's always been sort of feeding me stories about what campus life is like at USU, what he goes through. And even though I'm in my first year, right, I've taken on two executive roles at marketing director for Singapore Society and the international relations director at Subs. So those are two touch points where I got to experience firsthand how to interact with USU, how, especially for the club and societies aspect of my sort of campaign, I got to see firsthand the issues executives face and what improvements could have been made. So that kind of really inspired me to sort of make the change I want to see. And even if I don't win, at least this will be valuable experience for me, for say if I ever wish to run in the future, because it's not exactly a sort of guide on how to run for a director. There's not a guide on how to be a perfect executive 101. So all of these are things you have to learn with first-hand experience.
Yeah. I guess building on that, can you walk me through like how did you first hear about the USU? Who like suggested you should nominate yourself to run, and who is helping you out in terms of campaigning?
All right. So in terms of campaign managers, I have two. Should come to no surprise, the biggest one would be my older brother. He's a fifth year student at USU doing arts and law. It's about to graduate this semester, so he was quite heavily inspiring me to do it. He was like, "You should do it. I didn't manage to do it in my time, but I believe you can do it in your time." And he has a lot of experience, having been at USU for 5 years, right? He has a lot of experience in the aspect. So he was telling me about what he thought were good policies, and I agree with him. Some of the policies are good. He also gave me a lot of feedback on my own policies. My other campaign manager would be Tristan Ting. He's a good friend of mine. He's my focus more on the media side. I think he's the former president of the Photo Society, so he's a lot of experience in that.
Which society, sorry?
A photography society. Yeah, so he has a lot of experience in that. So he is also a professional photographer outside university. So because he's a professional photographer, he has a lot of good ideas, which I thought were good to bring in. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been like approached by any faction in USID? If yes, I guess, how did that conversation come about?
Sadly, I'm not popular enough for a faction to approach me, but again, I stand by my independent stance. I believe it affords me certain liberties and certain sort of leeway in what I want to pursue.
Yeah. I guess on that, what specifically don't you know yet about the USU or campus politics that the more experienced candidates do?
I would say what sets me apart from, I know that most of the candidates here are like third year law students, right? So they might be more familiar with, per se, the network of people at USU, or not USU, but USID. They might know more people. But again, in terms of age experience, lived experience, right? Because I had to do 2 years of military service in Singapore, I'm actually same age, if not older than some of the candidates. So in terms of lived experience, in terms of like maturity, I would say I'm at the very least similar to these fellow candidates. They might be more experienced in finessing the intricacies of university friendships and relationships of who knows what. But I think in terms of good ideas, good governance, good suggestions, we all have an equal playing field.
Yeah. Moving on from that, so 7 of 11 candidates this year, I believe, are studying law. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. I mean, USU in itself, elections are a very legal heavy thing. I think politics is it's very interesting to any typical law student. So definitely you see more representation from law students applying in. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's just interesting to a law student. They want to have first-hand experience in governance, in first-hand experience in voting, in politics. Yeah.
And I guess through that, there's been quite a few, concerns or comments from few students that the current candidates for this year's board elections doesn't really reflect the broader student body, with 7 out of 11 law students running. What do you have to say about that?
I think the concern by these students, right, is that these 7 candidates, they don't understand the sort of issues that, let's say, the other faculties experience. But in that, I would counter to say that that's quite limiting to say that you're assuming that these students, they don't exist outside the law faculty, right? These students are of course involved in other societies, let's say the Golf Society, Run Society, in which you would touch points with people from other faculties. I mean, I myself, I would say I don't have most of my friends aren't even students from law. I would say they are from a nice variety of faculties. There's people from veterinary science, there's people from chemistry, there's people from engineering. So I think in that sense, they understand what an average student would experience on a day-to-day basis. They experience the problems, they understand what matters to these students, because again, university is a big place, they talk to many people. So I think it's a bit sorry, I forgot the word. It's a bit it sort of minimizes them. It's sort of like, sorry, I'm thinking of a word, it's on the tip of my tongue.
No, that's alright, like that happens.
Yeah, it's like sorry, it reduces them. It sort of reduces these students to just being law students. But first and foremost, everyone is a USIT student.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah, so lastly on that note, as one of the 7 law students running, what differentiates you from the other 6?
Pretty sure I mentioned this. I mean, I'm the only first-year law student. I think I'm the only first year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so what I bring is sort of like a fresh view into the whole USU. Another thing I would also add on is that I'm an international student. I believe most of these law students, if most bar like 1 or 2, if I recall, are internationals. And I just came over from Singapore. So I have a very fresh perspective that's sort of new to the world, sort of touching everything for the first time. So I think that fresh perspective is what I bring onto the board.
So we have a few more questions left and then we should be done.
Okay.
But let's say I'm a politically disengaged student of the university and it's campaign season. How would you approach me on Eastern Avenue and pitch yourself?
Again, as I mentioned, I think in one of my earlier comments, earlier responses, I believe that a decent portion of the student base is apolitical, right? They only matter about what issues concern them at hand. And again, cost of living, that's on everyone's mind, right? You can make amazing promises about how you're going to renovate this building, how you're going to demolish that building, but that won't affect the student during the span of their degree. But cost of living, their wallet's having a few extra dollars, that's going to sort of interest them, because who doesn't want more money, right? Who doesn't want cheaper food? Who doesn't want cheaper travel, right? So these are what I would use to really pull in students, because those are things that not only do I strongly believe in, but I believe that a lot of students will also be interested in.
Yeah. I guess, as you already know, there will be 5 of you who will be elected on the board. Let's say, you get in, you get on the board. Which other candidates would you want to work with on the board and why? So which other 4 candidates would you be keen to work with the most?
Frankly speaking, I believe all the candidates this time around are great candidates. I think all of them have their own strengths and there's a lot to learn from each of them. I wouldn't say I particularly favor working with any other candidate because again, I haven't interacted much with them. I would say one candidate that I sort of look favorably upon would be James Green, but that's only because he has the Instagram account, which I'm sure many people are familiar with, Sydney Law James. So at the very least, even if I don't agree with any of his policies, which I don't really know what they are, I can agree with his humor because I find him funny, right? So at least I look forward to at least taking a laugh with him.
Yeah. Who do you see as your strongest competition in this race?
again, back to my thing, back to my previous statement, I believe all the candidates this time are great. I believe all of them have their own strengths, all of them have their own visions and ideas. So I would say they're all my greatest opponents, right?
Yeah. Okay, so fun part of the interview now. Can you tell me what your slogan is?
Oh yeah, it's Manifest Ming, so it's M&M. And
Okay.
that's why my unofficial mascot is a little chocolate candy covered in a sugar shell, which will not be named for copyright reasons.
How did you come up with that slogan, and what's kind of like the message behind it?
I come up with its slogan, yeah. Well, my name starts with M, and as we all know, we like catchy alliterations. So what else starts with M? What other adjectives start with M? So we came up with, me and my team, I decided on the word manifest Ming. I think materialized Ming was thrown around, but that sounded a bit weird. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your campaign colors?
My campaign colors, I'm representing it right now. I got black. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hex
Nice.
code. This is really easy to remember because I remember it came up in the previous interviews. It was like, what's your hex code? And everyone's like, I don't know. Mine's easy. It's just a 0000000.
Yeah. Who is your campaign manager?
Oh, I think you already asked
Yeah.
this one. My brother, Harrison Lay, 5th year law student, and then my good friend Tristan Ting, 2nd year.
Yeah. Favorite drink to get on campus?
Oh, on campus. Favorite drink on campus. I think it would. Oh yeah, I think it would be the ginger beer over at Courtyard Cafe. It's a great drink. A little bit healthy. People seem to think it's healthy with the ginger in it.
Yeah, and lastly, what is your green flag and red flag?
My personal green flag and red flag. You know, in corporate speak, they always say that the red flag has to be like advertising yourself. So like the red flag is, oh, I care too much. But honestly, I think my green flag would be that I'm very passionate about things. So when I start something, I like to see it to the finish. And my red flag would be I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So back to liking to see things to the end. When I start on something and I don't like it, I obsess myself over a certain thing. So that's good and bad. Good in which I'll just keep working on things until I see it finally done. Bad in which my work-life balance might be pretty bad. I just keep working. I work too much.
Yeah, all good. So thank you for completing the interview.
Thank you for that.
Good job. Yeah.
5 minutes to spare.
Yeah.